So in this cat here, the trachea, and they still have a little work to go, but up in here is the larynx. I can feel the tough thyroid cartilage, and then there's this little hole that you put in airway, and below that the cricoid cartilage. I don't know, I haven't been back behind your trachea. What's behind the trachea?
Esophagus.
Esophagus. So here's the esophagus.
Oh.
That tube is flat unless there's food in it, right? And the esophagus kind of tucks up nicely behind the rings of the trachea. They have some blood vessels left, so these large red ones right here, carotid arteries, and they're blue vessels. The veins aren't so great. They kind of got a little, they weren't filled very well. But you could see the superior vena cava and what would be the brachiocephalic veins out into the armpit. What would this one be?
Axillary.
Axillary, right? All the cats are a little messed up with that. Okay, so respiratory system down into the lungs. So you could name a lobe. Here's a lobe. I wouldn't ask you which one. I'd do that on a human model. And then what's the deep grooves between the lobes?
Fissures.
Fissures. And then the really important muscle of the respiratory system here is the diaphragm. And that I would expect, if the diaphragm is domed, what are you doing? Inhaling or exhaling? Exhaling. When it flattens, you inhale. Okay, so that would be like a function question. Okay, down here in this lower cavity, the liver, which is the largest organ in the body here, and then nestled in one of the lobes of the liver is the gallbladder, and it's usually green. I can see theirs is a little green here. And then when we look up underneath the liver, you start to see the various mesenteries. And mesenteries are double layers of serous membrane that kind of support the organs in place. So this is the stomach here, this kind of circular bag. And on the lesser curvature, that's the small curve, is this sort of plastic wrap stuff. That would be the lesser omentum. And then, you guys, thanks for waiting so I could unwrap your greater omentum. Did you guys want to do this? Too bad, I'm doing it now. So here's the fatty apron. Look at that's pretty massive, right? And this is the greater omentum. The greater omentum is attached to the greater curvature, okay? And it's fatty, which makes it nice insulation for the enzymes in the digestive organs, okay? Now, the third mesentery is by far my favorite, and it's called the mesentery proper. The mesentery proper is the double layer of serous membrane that attaches to all the small intestines. So here's 2 layers of serous membrane, right? And I really like it because it shows how these blood vessels come out in really regular intervals all the way around the entire small intestines, right? So it's supporting the blood vessels and nerves out to the small intestines. And then the final mesentery is located connected to the descending colon, and it's kind of just looks like plastic wrap along the backside here. So you have the greater omentum, lesser omentum, mesentery proper, and then the mesocolon is that. Okay, this right here is the spleen. The spleen filters your blood for pathogens. Usually alley cats have really big spleens. You know, they're exposed to a lot of different germs out there. So it filters your blood for pathogens. And then if I asked you about the different regions of the small intestine, I'd say this one connected to the stomach, the middle region, the distal one connected to the large intestine. And so the large intestine, which is otherwise known as the colon here, I see it in the bottom right-hand corner, and we're kind of looking for the ileum. That's the last region. And then you guys have a little job, and if you're, you know, I'll come around and do it for you too. Right in here, there's a valve, a sphincter, that controls food, which is now the bolus or pre-poo, from the small intestine into the large intestine. And this little dead-end sac is called the cecum. For humans, the appendix hangs off the cecum, but no other animal has an appendix, as far as we know. I just asked another biologist today. So you notice how I'm pushing the poo up the ascending colon? Because I want you to cut in right here and look at that sphincter. All right?
The ileocecal valve.
The ileocecal valve, exactly. It's either a valve or a sphincter, either word. Okay? Pair of scissors? Oh, come on, let's just do it. Is there anyone behind me that can hand me some chem wipes over there? Because we got to. Okay, how about turning off the cameras? Because really, this is going to be.